Hello, welcome to my sewing room. Today's a bit of a confessional, a little bit of a heart to heart. I want to start by wishing you a very happy new year, wherever you're celebrating it, and I hope you are celebrating it. And here in the north of England we've got another storm brewing, and I'm actually going to be going out tonight, so I thought I would get myself ready to go out and try and make myself look vaguely respectable, and have a little bit of review of what I've been doing over the past year. I've had my YouTube channel for a year, and it's something that I've really enjoyed doing. And I understand that YouTube is a marathon, not a sprint. And so in that year, I've gained about 586 subscribers. And if you are a subscriber and you're watching, I just want to say thank you very much. Thank you for subscribing, and also thank you for staying subscribed, because I lost a couple over the summer, but that's all. And over the summer I gained another little plot of rented land, very small. In the UK we call it an allotment. It's about the size of a tennis court. I've already got one, and I took on another in June, which was on me, sort of shoulder high in weeds. And so in order to get some produce from it this year, I had to really work very hard. So I didn't upload any videos for several months, and all those people stayed subscribed, so thank you very much. And I also want to take this opportunity to say thank you for the absolutely lovely comments that some people have sent. They really are so encouraging and heartfelt, and it's just, and I try to form a response, and I always feel the response never quite does justice to how I feel about what somebody said. So the reason I'm posting this video today is because it's New Year's Eve, but also to try and recap a little bit of what I've done. And one of the reasons is because I realised that I don't just do one thing. The people that I subscribe to on YouTube are people who do just patchwork or just quilting, and I absolutely love watching them. And I'm subscribed, I've been subscribed for years, and I'll never unsubscribe, and I just love following them. And there are not very many examples of people who I follow who do a multitude of things. There is a lady, her website's called Lovely Greens, and she lives on the Isle of Wight in the UK, and she's a little bit like me. She's got an allotment, she's got a big garden, she makes home products, you know, like cleansing products, moisturising products from the produce from her allotment, from her garden. She also makes homemade wine, and but her main thing is that she's a gardener and she produces food. And I've been subscribed to her for I think about 2 years now, and so I'm in her camp really. But I also do a lot of sewing, so if I write down a list of things that I really am interested in, it's sewing home wares, which I've shown you quite a lot of. I do sew clothes, and I make a lot of my own food, and I do grow food, and we also have chickens. And if I'm not doing one of those things, I'm doing the other. I also do have another job. I actually work part-time in a school, well, in several schools. I do clerking for schools, so I'm self-employed, and I go and write minutes for meetings and things like that. And that's a bit of part-time work for me, and that's my main income. And YouTube is really a hobby, and my Etsy page has been a hobby. So the point of this rant is I would really appreciate some feedback. I've had, you know, these comments that I have had, and they're really cherished, they're really appreciated. But I sometimes feel like I haven't really found my audience. That should I focus on one of these things, or should I just carry on as I am? because I've been doing this for a year, and I'm now looking to the next year. So if I was to just spend a little bit of time telling you, maybe quickly looking back. So I don't think I've ever really said how I ended up doing all this sewing, and it's because I used to sew when I was a child, and I was really not very good at it. I just kind of made things that didn't quite work out, but I enjoyed it, and I was very lucky. I was allowed to be given free rein of a sewing machine, and to be allowed to make as much mess as I wanted, and I was very fortunate in that respect. And then when I was older and had a family, I just made things like outfits for concerts and things like that, and curtains and what have you. But I always had to put my sewing machine away because we never had the room to have a sewing room. And then now that I live here, I'm very lucky that I've got a room to myself that is, it's my office. I work from home. It's got my piano in here, and it also got my sewing stuff. Most of the time it's in a complete mess, but this is my domain, and I'm very lucky to be able to leave all of my mess out all the time. So I just maybe briefly tell you how I got into sewing, and that's I like patchwork. My career's been a patchwork. I graduated with a computing diploma. That's it. That's all I had, and I couldn't do the programming I wanted to do because I had a child already. And in those days, you needed to be able to do shift work, because whereas everything's now digitized, at that time everything was on tapes. So I needed to, if I wanted to, a good way into programming was to become a computer operator. So you would be the person loading the tapes at midnight, things like that, and I couldn't do that. So I ended up working in commercial insurance for years. I eventually morphed into digital data for commercial insurance, and doing data analysis and that kind of thing. But it was just a means to an end. It was a way of making money. And finally, I worked for a brain injury charity. I worked there as a fundraiser and an administrator, and this is when I was about 45, and ended up running the charity. And it was an incredibly rewarding time, because I met people who survived a brain injury and were trying to rebuild their lives. And I was, part of that, which was fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant. And it was such a privilege to work with people who'd lost everything. They'd lost their jobs, they'd lost their friends. And I was a small part of trying to help them make something new out of their lives. It was absolutely fantastic. It really was brilliant. But after about 7 years of doing that, I was completely and utterly burnt out, completely. And I resigned, which was really sad. And that's a whole other video. But I took a month off work, which, to be perfectly frank with you, I could barely afford to do. And I don't know if you've ever had that kind of breakdown situation, or you've maybe been sacked or resigned or made redundant, but it's literally like everything your life's built on suddenly disappears. And I desperately needed to do something practical instead of something mental. I felt I'd been pulled in different directions mentally for years, and I needed to do something practical. And I pulled out that Jones sewing machine that I showed in the previous video, me resurrecting, and I thought, I'm just going to sew. And I had some scraps of fabric, and I made, and I because I'd left my job abruptly, I didn't have much money. So that year, everybody got patchwork quilts as a present, and I had an idea to put my laptop on my desk so that I could watch you know, I'd never really used YouTube before, but somebody suggested you might find a quilting video on YouTube, and I just Googled it, and I found a lady. She's called the Gourmet Quilter, and she's a lady in New Zealand, and she's absolutely brilliant. And she was just so calm, so practical, so helpful. It was absolutely lovely, and I just watched the Gourmet Quilter, and I learned so much from her, because I didn't just learn how to do patchwork better, I learned how to sew again, and she was just great, and I'm still subscribed to her. And when I was in a situation where I was able to semi-retire and I had this space available to sew in, I started up again, and so that's enough about me. So just a bit of housekeeping really, and a bit of chat about YouTube itself. I've got about 580 subscribers, so in order for me to kind of make this pay, and that's not really been my goal, but in order to do that I do need 1,000 subscribers. And I do know from looking at my data, and data's one of my things, that most of the people who watch me are not subscribed. And so that would be good if you think you might like to carry on watching me and sharing what I'm doing, which I'm going to show you more of in a minute. Then you know, perhaps you would consider doing that. So another thing that I would find really helpful would be, so the things I've had most comments about are a video where I showed how to set up this machine, which is a second-hand machine I bought, and I just did a video one day of, you know, how to set it up, and that's been my consistently most popular video. People have been very kind and very positive, saying, oh my goodness, if you hadn't done this video, I don't think we would have got our machine going, things like that. So I've actually got plans to do more of those. I've got several friends with sewing machines, which I can borrow, and I can show how to do them. So I'm going to do more of that. I will be, the other one that was most popular was one where I sewed on my treadle sewing machine in my shed at my allotment. Now, when I say allotment, and I realise not an awful lot of people don't know what that is, in the UK, an allotment is a plot of land that you rent for growing vegetables and fruit. And it is about the size of a tennis court, and I've now got 2. So I did have my treadle sewing machine at the allotment, and it was absolutely fantastic and liberating sewing something without electricity in the sunshine at that plot. Now I realised after a little while I wasn't going to be able to keep it there because it was going to be ruined, and I had a lot of comments from people saying, for goodness sake, please take that treadle machine away from that shed because it's going to be ruined. And so that's the other film that got the most comments, and I have now moved the treadle machine home, and I have done a film since at home. My plan this year, the year just gone, was to instead take a machine that I was bought on my birthday this year. I turned 60 this year, and one of the presents I got was a second-hand hand-cranked Singer sewing machine, and my husband has just finally got it going. He's got a little workshop here where we live, and it's, you know, it's normal sewing machine sized. You can't easily transport a treadle. So, you tell me about this Singer.
This is a 1899 Singer 28K, which I spotted in a charity shop, and knowing how much Wendy likes sewing machines, we bought this one for not much money, but it wasn't working, and I know nothing about sewing machines, but I do like pottering, so here I am trying to fix it, and I have managed to get it going, and the tension springs, but as you say, see, it is old, a bit tattered. My latest thing is to put a new handle on there. I'm just in the process of doing that, so that's going to be able to fix on there and turn that. And then this plate here needs refixing, but it is sewing now, and I am learning to sew at the same time as fixing this up. It's another sewing machine for Wendy to play with.
It can go in a little trolley I've got, and I can take it back and forth. So this year, one of the things I want to do is actually film at my allotment sewing there, which was always my intention this year, but it didn't really happen. So another thing I'd like to show you is a little bit about my sewing room, which you probably only see bits of, and I film it quite carefully because it's normally really messy. So I film it and I don't film the really messy bits. But because it's New Year, I am going to have a bit of a tidy up, and this is pre-tidy up. But I'm now going to show you some of the things I've made over the last year, and some of the things I'm planning to make as well. So I'll show you quickly around the sewing room. We'll just kind of skirt past the mess here a little bit. Now what I want to show you is, so I've got a pattern on my website for making these bags, which is my own pattern, and shows you how to make these bags. I just kind of want to show here how you can, because this was more like a summer bag, this is more like a autumn bag, but it's the same pattern. And I haven't done it yet, but I want to make a video of how to do this bag, which is just a little, little tote bag. And what I like is having this, which is a contrast. Now, this isn't a very stark contrast because this is just my prototype of how to make it, where I was trying to see if it worked. But I'll show you more in a minute of what I'm going to do, what fabrics I'm going to use to make that. So what I call my Gertie, which is the dummy I have here. So this is the first dress I made for myself about 5 years ago. My husband and I, we were going to a ball, and there's a shopping complex near here, which is got probably 100 shops in it. It's huge, but it's set out in a circle, and I literally went round in circles trying to find something to wear for this ball, and I couldn't. And this is a piece of shot silk which I'd had for years, and I plucked up the courage to make my own dress, and I wore this dress to the ball. And you can see here, I'll just put it in, a photograph of me and my husband at the ball. And it was really liberating because I literally could not find anything to try on in this place. And I realised I was walking around in circles. And it was just one of those moments where you just think, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to have a go at making my own clothes. And my attempts at making my own clothes when I was younger had been a bit mixed, to say the least. So this dress here, this is one I wore. I'll try and show it at a bit of a distance. I wore it to the same event but a different year. So it was just like, this glittery fabric at the top and velvet at the bottom. I mean, I just really love velvet. But then the one I'm wearing at the moment, I've got it covered up a bit now, but this one and this one are also the same pattern, and I'm going to show you that pattern in a minute. So what I love about that is if you find that, I happen to like this style and I happen to find this pattern quite easy to make. And what I love about this is you can have a pattern that you like, and you can have the fabric you want. So this is the thing that I always found difficult when I was making things, was that I would see something I liked, but it wouldn't be in the colour I wanted, or it wouldn't be, if it was, then it was something that was beyond my budget. What I like about making your own clothes is you can have whatever you want. You can have whatever you want. And you can also have something unique. And I'm not a dressmaker. I have no training in dressmaking or whatsoever. And I really, really would hesitate to make clothes for other people. But I'm motivated to make things for myself. And this particular pattern, I'm a typical pear-shaped, whoopsie daisy. I'm a typical pear-shaped English woman. And so I have drafted my own patterns. Sometimes it's hard. I've done it. You can do it, but I I did find a way with this pattern. It's quite fitted. It's got quite a fitted bodice. And I found a way to actually make the top my size and then the hips my size, so that it actually fits me. And so the pattern is called, I'll show it to you in a minute. I'll show you the clothes first and I'll show you the patterns. So what I like about that pattern is it's quite easy, it's quite adaptable, and you can make a evening dress out of it. You can also make a sundress out of it. So I'll move on to the coats. So these two coats here, this one and this one, I made from another pattern that I'm going to show you. And for me to even consider trying to make a coat myself is quite a revelation. And I will honestly say to you, if I can do it, you can do it. And I've never demonstrated a clothes or a coat pattern or anything on my channel, and I will do. And I like to know, I really would like to know if that would be helpful for you. I watched other people making patterns. I kind of made a go of it myself, and I've made things. So this coat is made in a kind of embossed needle cord. Now, when I tried to buy a coat like that, and this is like a summer coat, I made it for a wedding, a May wedding. It was too expensive. I wasn't prepared to spend on it what it was going to cost. And it's not the first one I made in that pattern. When I got the pattern, I first made kind of quite a functional coat. It was in the pandemic, and I bought the fabric without being able to really see it. So I thought it was brown, the fabric. It was actually orange, like an orange check. I thought it was a brown check. So I just kind of made it, and I learned so much from making it. And I actually sent it to a charity shop in the end because I wore it quite a bit, and then it was too orange for me. I don't really suit orange. But it gave me the confidence to make this one for the wedding. And then finally, I bought the fabric for this one, same pattern. And this is actually a designer wool fabric, which I think if I was going to make if I was going to buy a ready-made coat with this fabric, I think it probably would have been about £300 or £400. Obviously, it didn't cost me that. I think the fabric was about £70 in the end, because it was a remnant. I bought 2.5 meters, 3 meters of it, and it was about £70. And so I wear this coat all the time. So one of my plans for this year is to make another one of those coats and actually show you the make, show it to you. And this is because I'm not a dressmaker, but I've managed to make clothes myself that I'm prepared to wear. And I think if I can do that, then literally anybody can. And if you've already been watching my videos and you've watched my bags, this is why I make my bags, because, for instance, this one that I did a video about, it's made with scraps from these clothes. So if you make, and I hope if you don't already make your own clothes, I hope I can motivate you to do it. I really do, because I think if I can do it, anybody can do it. Because I really wasn't very good at sewing at school, and I had the enthusiasm to do it, but not the ability. But I've gained it in later life, and I think if I can, anybody can. And this is why I like making my own bags, because if you make clothes like these dresses or whatever, you'll have scraps. And then if you watch my wavy quilting videos, you can make this into a bag, and they will always match your clothes. The bags will always match your clothes, because you're making them with the scraps from what you've made. So I'll just quickly recap some of the patterns, and then I'll show you the fabric that I bought today. that I'm going to make some new things with, and I think that's probably going to be about it for me for today. So hang on a minute. So I don't know about you, but at this time of year, I often feel a little bit overwhelmed. You're kind of looking back at the past year, and then you're looking at the year that's going to come, and you're thinking of what you want to do. You know, what didn't you achieve? What do you want to achieve for the next year? And so my husband and I, we've just spent one night away in Wales. We just had a little quick break, and we came home, and one of the things that was in the post box was a seed catalogue. And whilst I've been sewing so much, and whilst we had this absolutely dreadful weather, I've not done enough on my new plot as I intended to. So referring back to me saying that I feel I've got too many things on the go and I do too much, and the kind of critical phrase that enters my head is master of nothing, what is it, jack of all trades, master of none, or something like that. Meaning, you do lots of things but you don't do anything really well, and that always haunts me, that phrase. But then I think to myself, when you get to my age, you are what you are. You can't change yourself. I like doing this mixture of things. I like kind of making a hash of things. I like having a go, and I'm fortunate at the moment that I'm able to do that. So this is something on my conscience, is the fact that I'm going to have to try and justify the cost of renting the land that we have, and actually make sure that I actually do, produce some useful produce from it. So that's going to be, I've done a few videos about that, but I'm going to be doing some more. So just going back to showing you the clothes. So this is the coat pattern. So it's called it's the Avid Seamstress, and the pattern is called the coat. It's absolutely fabulous. It's beautifully cut. It's gorgeous. It really is. And the pattern the pattern recommends that you use boiled wool. Now boiled wool is really, really, really expensive. So I've never made one in the boiled wool. If budget's no option for you, then do what she recommends and get some boiled wool. But I've made those two I've shown you, plus another one which was a kind of polyester. It's quite warm check. It was orange and black check. I wore it for ages, but so that's what I've made so far. Now, so that's one pattern, and I'm going to do one and show you how I do it. So the other one is the Chloe dress. So this is So Love Patterns. I'll link these in the description. This is So Love Patterns, and that's Chloe dress, and that is the glittery brown one, the red one, and the one I'm wearing. I will also link the Gertie dress, what I call the Gertie dress, which is the one that's on my model that you've seen in the background for ages. I'll also link that one. So I'm going to make another of these Chloe dresses as well, and I'll show you how I adapted my pattern for my size. So as well, that's that one. And then last but not least, on our way back from our little trip away in Wales, there is a discount fabric store that's got a few branches around here, and there's one near where we live and it's quite small, but the one on the way back from where we went away is huge, absolutely huge. And we stopped for a coffee and a bit of cake, and we also went and I got some fabric, and my poor long-suffering husband, it was his suggestion that we stopped, but I ended up buying this. Now I got some birthday money, so I used the birthday money for it. But basically, that blue turquoise bag on the corner there, I'm going to demonstrate how to make those bags. And they're really handy because you can kind of put your lunch in it, you can put books in it, you can put some of your craft items in it. And I've got a way of making it where you can have a contrast. Now I absolutely love contrast fabrics next to each other. That's what That's what motivates me, is finding the right fabric and the right contrast to actually set off each fabric. Now, so that's going to be these two remnant Lewis and Irene fabrics. Now, if you've watched my Easter video about the Easter table runner, where I've got the Lewis and Irene fabrics, that's two of those. I'm going to make those into a bag and I'll show you how to do it. Then I got these two other ones. I'm trying not to always have florals because I'm obsessed with florals, so I'm trying, that is slightly floral, but I'm trying to not have too many florals, so that's not quite so floral. I'm going to make some bags out of that. And then I got these curtain fabrics, so curtain remnants. And so the last video I did before today was making the egg carrier, which was a partial success, only a partial success. I need to perfect this. I need to do another video to show really properly how to do it. So when I've tidied the sewing room, which I'm probably going to do tomorrow, I'm going to clear the decks and do another video of how to make this egg carrier. But these are what I had. I made it with what I had, but I bought these today because I thought they were a little bit more appropriate colours, and these are remnants as well, so I didn't spend very much on those at all, so I'm going to do that. But also did manage to find some chicken fabric too, so that's that. And then last but not least, after, well, my poor husband, I mean, he literally was like Patience of Job. He searched through all these fabrics with me because I thought, I want to demonstrate how to make this coat, the Avid Seamstress coat. And I thought, I need something where I'm going to wear it, but it's also easy to demonstrate. And I suit brown. Quite hard to find brown fabrics, but that's what I suit. And so we rummaged around for ages, and we finally found this one. Now this was about £6 a metre, £6 a yard, and it was then 70% off. So I've got almost 2.5 metres of fabric here, and it was probably, you know, less than £10. Oh, I'll actually tell you how much it was. It was actually less than £10. And so if it becomes a complete hash, it doesn't matter. But I'm hoping I'm going to be able to demonstrate this for you and show you how to make this coat. So that's another thing I'm going to be doing. The final thing I'm going to do is show you, well, I don't know if you can see it, but my dear husband made this clock for me. He's one of these people, if he decides he's going to make something, he can do it. He's just able to do it. He made this clock for me. He also, the hand crank sewing machine that I've just told you about, he managed to get that going for me, which obviously I'll be using that at the allotment this year. Now this one, I bought a while ago, and that is an old Singer. It's about 100 years old, and it does work, but it's very temperamental. So now that he's got the hand crank one going, which is from the 1890s, he's feeling quite confident. So he is going to work on that one next. Now, he did tell me today, because he was feeling a little bit, you know, New Year-ish like I am, he did tell me today that he might make some videos of his own. So that is amongst the things that's coming up. So I hope that you've enjoyed watching. I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of an insight, perhaps a little bit more into who Sew Nonny is. And I hope that you can see what I'm going to be doing in the new year, and that it might encourage you to subscribe, and that you will get ideas like I have. So the only reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now is because of people like the Gourmet Quilter and people like that. And my dear wish, is that I can encourage somebody to have a go. I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing, which is a bit of this, bit of that, quilting, bit of bag making, bit of clothes making, and I'll just show you what I'm doing, and take from it what you want. And so it just leaves me to say Happy New Year, whatever you're doing, and here's to a great 2025.